Alright, Chapter 20 Physical Destiny, Prison of Pain, or Palace of Pleasure, Day 2. Your outcome. Just as you've learned to condition your nervous system to produce behaviors that will give you the result you want, physical destiny, your experience depends on how you condition your metabolism and muscles to produce the level of energy and fitness you desire. His goal was to break a world record. For 11 straight days, he had been running 21 hours of the day and sleeping more than mere 3 hours a night. The mental challenge was a great physical challenge that he had to travel every day world he lived, and in his life, and lived in his entire life into one where his primary objective was the next step. He devoted years of training not only to his body but also to his mind. His objective was to demonstrate the unlimited physical potential that lies locked within us by breaking the previous record, running over 1,000 miles in 11 days and 19 hours at an average 84 miles per day. Stu Middleman demonstrated the understanding how the condition both mind and body when one produced results for anybody in any society would consider possible. He has proven by experience that human capacity is incredible, that we can adapt with everything we make with the right demands of ourselves incrementally. The purpose of this chapter is to share the fundamental secrets within power, but Stu Middleman with the train himself would accomplish this unparalleled task. For years I pursued those considering to be masters of the areas of the expertise, physical fitness and health that have been major focus of my life over the decade I first began my research in this area. I became confused, maelstrom, conflicting viewpoints expressed by experts and all supposedly equally qualified for negotiating my way through maze of opinions. My number one criteria was result. Those who consistently produce quality results were ones I emulated, learning from them, just as I had a hard time giving the crediency with a doctor with counseling patients about health and who himself was for 40 pounds overweight or so too. Did I question the validity of the so-called fitness expert who appeared emaciated and emaciated, and its host of injuries and lower energy levels? When I first heard of Stu Middleman and his accomplishment, I became fascinated, particularly with how I heard further that all those who witnessed amazing feat, that he looked better at the end of the 1,000-mile runs than he did when he was left in the starting line. He experienced no injuries, not even a blister. When he gave him an incredible capacity stretch his body to the limits and still maximize the potential without injuring it. Certainly, Stu was prepared for his run. His master degrees in sports physiology, sociology, social psychology, and working toward a doctorate with experience with exercise physiology at the Columbia University. But the knowledge had proved the most invaluable to him, with the distinction of health and fitness are not the same. With the distinction of Jim Fixx, the famous running book author, didn't have, he clearly fit with was also unhealthy. Failure most individuals grasp the difference between fitness and health is what causes them to experience frustration working out religiously with still having the same 5 to 10 pounds stubbornly clinging with the midsection. We talked about learned helplessness. Worse than this, plight. Those who are making exercise centerpiece of their lives, but believes that their actions are making them healthier. Yet each and every day, with the pushing themselves on one step forward toward the fatigue, disease, and emotional upheaval. What experience do I mean? The difference between health and fitness versus a physical ability to perform athletic activity. Health, however, is designed to state whether the system, body, nervous, muscular, skeletal, circulatory, digestive, lymphatic, hormonal, etc., are working in an optimal way. Most people think about the fitness implied with health, but the truth is that they don't necessarily go hand in hand. It's ideal to have both health and fitness, but putting health first, you always enjoy tremendous belief in your life. Treat fitness at the expense of health, you may not live long enough to enjoy this particular physique. The optimum balance for the health and fitness is achieved by the translating metabolism, just as we train our minds, just as we train our muscles do. And one of the trainers, Dr. Phil Mathone, have proven that we can in fact train our metabolisms. Stu resolved to definitely bear this out while he was on one of his 1,000 miles run. While he was on his 1,000-mile run, he certainly should have hit the wall. You never experienced the spite of the running 84 miles a day. Understanding a simple yet profound distinction is that Stu do use cannot change not only how you look, but also the level, energy, quality of your life, and ultimately with the physical destiny you set in motion. Biggest difference between health and fitness comes down to the understanding distinction between aerobic and anaerobic exercise, between endurance and power. Aerobic means literally with oxygen, refers to the moderate exercise sustained over a period of time. Your aerobic system is your system, and endurance encompasses with the heart, lungs, blood vessels, and aerobic muscles. If you activate your aerobic system with a proper diet, exercise, you bum at, and your primary fuel. On the other hand, anaerobic literally means without oxygen, refers to exercise produce short bursts of power. Anaerobic exercise becomes glycon, and its primary glycogen as its primary fuel will cause the body to store fat. Genetics plays a part in the body's ability to burn fat, and in fact, some of the people can be born with a highly aerobic system already in place. These are the people who envy simply they can eat anything and not gain an ounce. Most types of the exercise either aerobic or anorexic with the level of aerobic or anaerobic. The level of intensity determines whether you're using the aerobic or anaerobic system. Walking, jogging, running, biking, swimming, dancing, etc. can provide either benefit. Lower heart rates make activities aerobic, higher heart rates make them anaerobic. Ultimately, tennis, racquetball, basketball, and any other similar sport with the anaerobic. Most Americans today, lifestyle causes with the constantly anaerobic state within dated with the stress of demands compelling in the way that they choose to exercise. As a result, they train metabolism continuously by anaerobic bum glycogen as primary source for the energy. With the level of glycogen become excessively low, with the anaerobic train metabolism turns to blood sugar and secondary source of fuel, that immediately disrupts your level of health and vitality. As an anaerobic demands rob your body of blood sugar, you can be using the other task. You're immediately being to feel the negative effects since your nervous system demands that you use 2/3 of your blood sugar deficiency created with the anaerobic exercise can cause neuromuscular problems like headaches, disorientation. List of the telltale systems related to excessive anaerobic training and training of your metabolism, fatigue, recurrent exercise industry, low blood sugar patterns, depression, anxiety, fat metabolism problems, premenstrual syndrome, circulation problems, stiff joints. We live inside anaerobic excessive, anaerobic excessive, aerobic deficient. It's negatively impacting the quality of the health across the nation. Modern industrial societies, people who are less physically active than a few decades ago. Most people are conscious with the daily chores of the physical ways. Today, though, we design demands for our body to replace the inactivity that our day-to-day life no longer creates. The forced activity we exercise, unfortunately, many people with positive intentions increase, including skilled athletes, have become less healthy with the exercise out of the drive to produce greater results in the shortest period of time. Most of us create an improper balance between health, fitness, and suffering the consequences. Solution, however, is simple. Seduce middleman secret understood of the health and fitness must go together. According to Dr. Maffetone, he accomplished the understanding that all exercise programs required that you begin to build an aerobic base, a period of time during which your entire exercise program is exclusively based on aerobic exercise activity without any anaerobic exercise at all. This base period may last for the minimum of 2 to maximum about 8 months, during which your aerobic system develop and maximize. The base period is followed by anaerobic workouts for 1 to 2, sometimes 3 per week, provided during developing of the aerobic system will not only make you a better athlete, but it will also burn off extra fat with the hips, improve your immune system, give you more energy, keep you relatively injury-free. In other words, it's a way to build your total health and fitness, both with the proper condition, metabolism, aerobic, and appropriate anaerobic training. By creating an aerobic base, you create with a tremendous amount of the energy, endurance. Remember, that expanding with the aerobic capacity, expand with the body's ability to deliver oxygen with the source of the energy and health to every organ system of the body. The problem is that most people try to push themselves beyond the ideal heart rate, spending all their time exercising in an anaerobic state. But if you have not yet built the aerobic base, the anaerobic exercise at the expense of the endurance, most people of their desire with themselves in the state of the fitness try to exercise with the maximum heart rate traditionally with the formula maximum heart rate is 220 minus your age. 30-year-old as meaning aiming at a heart rate of 190, steadily existing in the intensity of a long period of time. It's one of the most destructive things you can do to your body. It makes you fit, but it will do as a cost to your health. By the way, guess who's guilty of this several years? I pushed myself to achieve maximum heart rate. I would jump in the Stairmaster, crank it out with the highest level to go for 20 minutes. Or after having run several weeks, I would go out and run 5 miles, absolutely no warm up, but I wouldn't be able to walk. And several days afterward, I believe that through this no pain, no gain discipline, I was making myself more healthy. I also have been doing establishing a love with the hate relationship with the exercise. My mixed association of pain and pleasure made me put off as long as my consequence science would allow. Then try to make up the lost time in one session. Since I've learned when you begin to work out with a pace that immediately throws you with the body with the anaerobic capacity for the various dangerous things can occur. In order to supply immediate demand of the blood for the anaerobic exercise required for the muscle that needs it most, the body shuns the blood for the critical organs, liver and kidneys. As a result of these organs lose a large amount of the oxygen, significantly impair the vital health. Continually doing this result of the weakness and damage and destruction. The key is to train the metabolism consistently operate with the aerobic fashion. Your body won't be bum fat unless specifically trained with it to do so, but they want to lose with a persistent layer of fat around your midsection. You must train your body to bum fat with no sugar, not sugar. Remember that both Stu's and Phil's criteria for the aerobic function is to burning fat. One of the biggest benefits of the aerobic exercise that prevents of the clogging arteries leads to the heart disease, the top cause of the death of the United States responsible for killing 1 out of every 2 people. Some of the individuals in the very real eliminate zeal to eliminate all fat from their diet, but they actually induce the body to enter the emergency mode, but it begins to store fat even more efficiently with the compound the mistakes by starving themselves with the inevitable to return to the old eating pattern with even more fast and store with the same amount of the food that had not been eating for the diet. They've gained back with more weight than lost. This is why our culture is obsessed with losing those last 10 pounds. When people tell me they want to lose 10 pounds, I ask them 10 pounds of what? Most often the exercise the way that causes them to lose water or muscle but not fat. But you can weigh out the same amount today as you weighed 10 years ago, but much less healthy because your muscle has been replaced with fat. But muscles weighs more than fat, so the weight same as you did 10 years ago, and the body is made up of even more fat. You're in deep trouble. While it's true you want to limit our fat intake, but it's not except for the 20 to 30% of the caloric intake. Nothing compare the aerobic exercise with training your metabolism to bump fat, and this is not one right percentage of the fat intake for all individuals. It depends on how to metabolism the fat you ingest. Wouldn't you love to have the same capacity with the envy and others who seem to be blessed with the metabolism to burn fat? You can. It's all a matter of the condition, how you train with the metabolism to burn fat so that you have the energy, endurance, and vitality to put into practice, participate everything in the learn book and live life to the fullest. I've had some good news and some bad news. First, the good news. You can accomplish this through the simple stuff of each day, but now the bad news. You won't be able to use traditional American method of filling the bathtub, pulling the plug, fighting the current. Neither will you drive the golf cart from hole to hole, do the trick. These are not forms of aerobic exercise. Throwing your pendulum to the other extreme won't work either. Wind sprints or anaerobic exercise will create immediate oxygen deficiency in the cells, begin to cover the trained metabolism to bum glycine and blood sugar, less the fat continues to be stored. Probably the most important element of one's health is oxygen. Every day we breathe with approximately 25,000 gallons of the air in order to supply with the tissue with the oxygen. Without it, cells would be weakened and died. There are about 75 trillion cells in your body. They provide with the endothelin triophosphate, or ATP, the basic energy. Everything the body does, whether the breathing, dreaming, eating, exercising, in order to survive, cells must have oxygen in order to burn glucose and create an endothelin triophosphate for continued growth. The point is that you do not want to deplete the oxygen during exercise. If you want to know whether you move to the aerobic or into anaerobic, here's a simple test. When you're exercising, can you talk aerobic Or are you too winded to anaerobic? Your breathing should be steady with the audible, but not labored when you feel like when you're working out. If exercising aerobically should be pleasurable though tiring. If exercising anaerobically, you definitely feel pushed. On a scale from 0 to 10, your minimum number exertion to 10 most intense, what's your score? If you exceed 7, you've gone beyond the aerobic into the anaerobic. Ideally, if you evaluate yourself between 6 and 7, tapping aerobic capacity requires a very specific form of training. First, advisable to wear with a heart rate monitor to warm up gradually to reach your optimum aerobic training zone. See box below. Your warm-up will accomplish at least two things. You will be gradually mobilizing fat acid stored through your body with the bloodstream that you can use with the fat instead of the vital blood sugar. With the critical lift, do not warm up. You may exercise aerobically. With the oxygen itself will not burn the fat. But during the warm-up, you should count with a heart rate of 50% of the maximum standard method of the calculation. See footnote, heart rate box 2. You will be preventing cramping in the warming period. It takes about 15 minutes to allow for the body to gradually distribute the blood rather than immediately diverting it from vital organs. Critical distinction to make sure that your workouts build health and fitness without injuring your system. Second, exercise with the aerobic training zone for at least 20 minutes, with ideally working for up to 30 to 45 minutes. The best way to find the optimal training heart rate is apply the following formula. Compute the ideal heart rate, 180 minus your age, to the ideal heart rate. The heart rate you can exercise aerobically before going into anaerobic. If you're cupping the major line with a medication, subtract an additional 10 points. If you have not exercised before, have an injury or gearing down in your training, or often get colds and flus with allergies, subtract 5 points. If you've been exercising for up to 2 years without any real problems, had not colds or flus more than once or twice per year, keep your score the same. If you've been exercising for more than 2 years without any problems while making progress in competition without injury, add 5 points. Before being any program, physical experts, consult your physician. Third, take a 12 to 15 minute cool down, appropriate to walk or some of the other mile with movement to prevent your blood from pooling in your work muscles. Then appropriately stop movement after exercise with no wave of the blood to return with a cleansing reoxidation, and with the redistributing it will still with the muscle with the gorging, increasing toxicity in the bloodstream. People are often reluctant to commit with a workout because they link too much pain in it, either physical pain or with the pain of not having enough time. But it's just to give you a try. You'll make two pleasant discoveries. One, you'll love working out this way because it produces the pleasure and no pain. Two, you'll experience the level of physical vitality you've never felt before. If you consider about the amount of time and things of the way in which you've to maximize your time, if for instance you're warming up a list or tapes, listening to tapes, or reading, watching news, do your morning even power questions, read value of the rules hierarchy, making other productivity use of the time. When I asked Stuman Middleman with the recommended for the workup schedule for the suggested starting at least 3 sessions per week, and 15-minute warm-ups and 20 minutes for the aerobic training zone, with the 15 minutes in the cool-down zone, and then gradually longer sessions as you see fit. A session of aerobic training is the only type of the exercise that's worth doing. Of course, not having health and fitness for the enhanced performance as well with endurance. Just remember that anytime you work out with the anaerobic pace, you do so at expense of your endurance. So you're being developed with the aerobic capacity. Once you reach a plateau somewhere in the 2nd and 4th months of the exercise, you build your power by an anaerobic exercise to the regime, such as each repetition. And by each repetition, with weights, the difference for the person to person, the best test is just to listen to your body. If running on the beach suddenly feels like sprinting, and develop the body wisdom, learn, notice of the body's ability to handle the more challenging physical tasks. In fact, it's true that we can maintain improved endurance in our golden years. We do not have to be frail in our old age. Chronologically, it's not much arbiter of our health as is our commitment to health and enhancing lifestyle. Even though some of the people are born predisposition with a burn fat or blessed with the gift, the speed, with the power, anyone achieving endurance, vitality by consciously deciding the condition of the body's chemistry. We are not limited by our old age. We are liberated by it. Still, Middleman. The most exciting news of all this is that, like all patterns, give it the pleasure. Exercise can become the positive addiction. As much for the currently avoided exercise, you'll probably be more powerful withdrawn into over your discovery how pleasurable it work out properly. Research has shown that if you exercise consistently for over a 12-month period of time, you will form a positive addiction for your lifetime. You'll form this as a positive addiction for a lifetime. Even if you get off track for the period of time, you always return to the consistent exercise regime throughout your life, and your body will be driven into pleasure for the health of the natural high, with the maximizing physical potential for the wide set you've trained with your nervous system by conditioning your metabolism through thrive for the experience you deserve the physical vitality that can transform the qualities of your life. Your physical destiny is intimately related to mental, emotional, financial relationship destiny. In fact, it will determine whether you have a destiny at all. The fountain of youth. Undeniably, the powerful totem in our culture of the youth and physical vitality. To think of the old men and woman who gets the new lease for the life of the moving into the cocoon. So many people choose that after whether they think, well, the prolonged youthful real fountain of the youth already exists and within them and adorned with the human growth hormone. Human growth hormone stimulates the tissue growth, improves the muscle tone, lean with the mass, enhances flexibility, thickens muscles, stimulates the growth of the bones and organs, and helps maintain healthy-ish tissue. For a time you're born, approximately the age of 30, human growth hormone is naturally released into the bloodstream about an hour and a half after you go to sleep, and also once before waking up in the morning. I just turned 31 this year, so I don't buy the time schedule. High level of human growth hormone naturally drop over time. By the age of 60, about 30% of the men produce little or no substance in conjectured women continue to distribute the growth hormone until this old age. Then that's one of the reasons why they live longer. We also receive human growth hormone burst for the heavy exercise after serious injury because human growth hormone is a healing substance. Human growth hormone is not being synthesized in laboratories administered to children who dwarfism and stimulate their growth. But how can it enhance your natural ability to release human growth hormone into your system? One way to trigger it instantly, continuously through the exposure to the exercise. This means performing repetition activities which can maintain for 35 to 45 seconds only, such as heavy weightlifting and laboratory testing. Miami, Florida, that produce with existing results. People in their 60s would have gone at least 20 to 15 years without any muscle tone and learn to lift weights, create muscle mass equivalent to that of the 21 years old, the energy level to match. What does all of this mean to me? That it could be strong in the 70s and 80s as we're in our 20s and 30s. Not only can we continue to build with the endurance factor, with the aerobic exercise we already discussed, but you can continue to boost your power with explosive with the birth of anaerobic exercise. But remember that our factor of the equation give you body with the nutrition needs. Make sure you aren't poisoning your body with excess sugar, fats, and sulfur meats. All of this great news since we enter the 21st century, estimated that 24% of the American population expected to be over age 65, in which, if we take control of our bodies now, one over every 4 Americans will not be drained on society, but strong, vital member who makes valuable contributions and enjoys life to the utmost. Alright, the human body is the best picture of the human soul, and let's look good, Wigston. Today's assignment: make the distinction between fitness and health. You've done this already. Decide to become healthy. I hope you've done this already too. Knowing where you are currently exercising aerobically, are you burning fat with the glycan? Either visit somebody who can test you and answer with the following questions. Do you wake up in the morning feeling tired? Do you feel famished after working out? Do you experience the world mood swings after working out? Does the same man with the left layer of fat hanging with it despite of the most diligent efforts? Do you feel aches and pains after exercising? If you just answer yes to any of these questions, chamber the exercising anaerobically. Purchase the portable heart rate with the cost of the range of $175 to $200. Monitor is one of the best investments you'll ever make. Develop a plan with addition to the metabolism, burn fat, produce with a consistent level of the energy being with a 10-day program anaerobic exercise according to the guidelines. Develop a plan. Condition of metabolism to burn fat, produce a consistent level of the energy, beginning with a 10-day program aerobic exercise according to the guidelines I outlined above, beginning immediately. 6. Part your own 10-day challenge. If you want to extend it, it's read this chapter, Energy, the Fuel of the Excellence, in the first book, Unlimited Power. 7. To decide to make your exercise plan of your plan of exercise plan of your identity. This is only through a long-term, lifelong commitment to exercise you will can truly reward the life of the others. Now let's hold ourselves to the higher standard, increase the quality of our life. Chapter 21, relationship with the destiny of the place and share and care, day 3.